Good afternoon here, you two people. What is going on with you all today? So I'm here with another video about Paul. But this is going to be one of three, and then I'm not going to talk about Paul anymore because it's really not worth it to me. It kind of gives me a little bit of like negative feeling and depression and this and that, knowing that a lot of people that are even in my family that I love and care about either won't believe what I'm telling them, or they've already passed on, and hopefully my father will see that they lived a good life as far as my father was concerned. You know, that's all I can hope for. And we were all deceived, all of us. But this one here has to do with oaths. And my father was telling the disciples, apostles, that they should not make any oaths at all. No oaths. Do not make an oath unto heaven or anything. None of it. And Paul not only tells people it's okay, but he actually does it. If you look at Galatians 1:20, he says, this is by God himself as my witness, I am not telling a lie. Now, think back to when you were a kid, okay? Your parents, your teacher, whoever confronted you, and you knew you were lying, you just said, I am not telling a lie, even though you knew you were telling a lie. Well, that is exactly what Paul did, because if you tell the truth, you don't have to say, oh, what I'm saying is not a lie. It's just plain and simple, obvious, okay? But Paul says it all through his writings. I am not telling a lie. I'm not telling a lie. And why is that? Even the churches in Corinth, Ephesus, a lot of them were questioning him because of the things that he was telling them. A lot of them looked at him as a heretic, as somebody that just was spewing a bunch of lies. Back during that time, Paul was alive during the time that Christ was alive. Why did he not go to see him during that time? Because my father would have pointed him out as being a false prophet or false apostle. So he waited. He waited until after my father left the building. Then he came in, he spread a bunch of chaos, he had a bunch of people believing this and that and everything else. And it kind of goes along with Hitler's right-hand man. I can't think of his name off the top of my head, but he said this, and it reigns true to even this day. If you say something long enough, sooner than later, people will start to believe it, even if it's a lie. And that's exactly what happened. It's exactly what happened. You know, even if it is a straight up lie, people will believe it if they say it long enough. You know, I'm 58 right now. I'll be 59 this year. Okay, let's just say in 20 years I pass away. Let's say 5 years. I don't know how long I'll be here. Okay, I don't. But I die, and 300 years from now, the earth is still going. You know, I don't have predictions, but I do think that, you know, we are within a 10-year period right now. Okay, but Could I be wrong? Yes, of course. Because he said, no man shall know the hour and the day in which I return. Okay? So I can't say that I know, that I know, that I know, that I know, because I don't know. But just by following his, all of his signs and things like that, we have to know that we are in that time. But as I said, I've been told this my whole life, so, maybe it will go longer, Because even today, in my great-grandparents' time, it's just been a day there for him. Because in heaven there is no time. But a day is likened to 1,000 years. So, it's still a day. It hasn't even changed. So, we don't know when he will return, but he is going to return. And it's better to be ready when he does, okay? But there's just so many things. My Father, Jesus Christ, whatever you want to call him, he said, do not eat meat that is offered to idols, okay? Paul said it was okay. Hey, you can eat whatever you want to eat. Go ahead. Eat away. And Paul is the only one in the whole Bible that said it's okay to eat meat that is offered up to idols. The only one. And you can fact check it if you want. Paul was the only one that said, hey, go ahead, guys. Have a feast. Eat all of the idol meat you want. He did. However you want to word it, he said it. And people just don't listen. They close their ears when it comes to him. It's like some kind of protective blanket that goes around him or something, Hey, a false prophet is a false prophet, and you should know who the false prophet is. It would only make sense. I told you, my mom said before that she didn't believe that my father would allow somebody like that in the Bible. It's the only place it would be. You won't. What? You think some guy's going to get on some magic carpet and fly around and go here and go there and everybody's going to hear him? No. It happened in the Bible. That's where you're going to see the false prophet arise. Out of the Bible. And my father was talking to his people. They saw him. They knew who he was. He started spewing a lot of stuff and they all left him. They left him right where he was. Why? Because he wasn't of us. That's what my father said. If they're not of us, they won't stay with us, and they do not belong to us. I told you, there were a few times in my life I straddled the fence, but I always make my way back. Why? Because I can't leave my father. I can't do it. I won't do it. But I can't do it either. It's like a love that it just will always be there within me. And it will until the end of time. There's nothing that I could do about it. I could find the biggest evidence in the world of this all being one big practical joke. Ha ha. But I'll still follow him. Why? Because I love him. I love him and he loves me. And he has shown me throughout all of my years, especially in these years here. I've gone through so much I can't even explain to anybody. Nobody will understand what I have gone through. Nobody. How did you manage to go through that? How did you live through that? How? How? It's not even mathematically possible for you to be able to do that and still be here talking to you right there. It is. Because of my Father. He loves you. He loves me. I love him dearly. Even more so than my mom. But I do love my mom. And, I hope that she actually gets this message. I hope that he shows her. I hope he does. Because my mom would make a good teacher when it comes to this type of thing. She really would. I told you my mom was my mentor, my rock. My dad counseled me a lot. He listened. He was the best listener that you'd ever want to meet. He would sit there and listen. He didn't care if you were just speaking out of the side of your neck. He would listen to you. That was my dad. My mom, on the other hand, she did all the talking. My mom was the mouth and my dad was the ears. Judge Judy says that you're given one mouth and two ears for a reason, okay? My mom is still good, and she sometimes will listen if you try to bring some kind of logic to the table. But my dad, he would listen big time. You could sit there and talk to him for 4 hours, and he wouldn't say peep one until you were done. And then he had a little bit of a good, wholesome type things to say to you. And that was both of them. They were very supportive in my life. Just like any kid, I did some things that I probably shouldn't have, and nobody's the best parent in the world. I definitely was not the best parent in the world. But I can't attribute it all to myself, but I really wasn't given the chance, But, I tried to be. I did try. And, my father saw that in me. My ex-wife she was very selfish. We had a family here. She divorced me and moved back down to Florida, where I am from. How could you have a good relationship between your mother and your father when your mother just carries all of you down, all of your kids or whatever down to Florida, and I'm living up here? I made the attempt to move down there. Just in case you should have moved there. I did. But it didn't work. My father did not want me there. Okay? Apparently because it didn't work out. I got a transfer with the job I was at to move down there and live close enough to them that I could be their father. Or their dad, excuse me. Anyway, it just didn't work out, okay? It didn't. So I came back up here. But, long story short, it can't be attributed to all of me, okay? I do take some of the blame for it, yes. I'm not a perfect guy. I have said that, and I mean that. But, sure enough, it wasn't all of my fault. And that's how it worked out. But anyways, I just wanted to get back to that again. And like I said, I'm going to come back. I'm going to come back and do 2 more videos after this, probably tomorrow and the next day. And then I'm not doing any more Paul. I already gave you like 6 videos. I think this is the 7th one. If you don't have the point by now, you're just not going to draw that conclusion. And that's fine. It's fine with me. I would hate to see it for anybody, but I cannot make somebody believe what I believe. I can't. And I won't. I do know that it is factual, everything that I have said. And like I said, if you want to find any more out, do your own study. Open up the Bible. That's what I don't know about other countries, but here in the United States, most people, they go to church. Sometimes they have planners or whatever. They have little Bible studies and this and that. And they give them books to study on and that. But they don't give you a book that, okay, well, this guy said this, but this guy said that. They don't do like that. So if you ain't opening your Bible and reading it to find out who said what, you're not going to find out. But Paul, the false apostle, Saul, he blasphemed God all over the place. My father, he blasphemed him countless times, okay? And if you don't see it, like I said, I can't make you see something. The veil needs to move from your eyes in order for you to see what I am talking about, or what anybody on any social media or wherever. And if you think that your pastor, preacher, priest, minister, whatever you call the guy, if he just tells you, oh no, that isn't true, blah, 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 that's fine. It doesn't matter to me. I don't get any cookies for giving out the good news. The good news. The good news is my Father lives. The good news is my Father gave us what to follow. The bad news is that Paul came and destroyed, or tried to destroy, all of that. And he led a lot of the masses astray over that. And there were people of the devil himself that got in the pulpit and taught this stuff knowing that it was false, that it was bad. They did that on purpose. It carried their life all through. They owned houses and jet airplanes and they had expensive stuff. Why? Because they deceived the masses. That's what it was all about. Do you think that my Father's going to look at them and say, good job, my faithful servant? No. He's not. He's got a place for them. And the angels are going to come and carry them there. Don't be one of those. Look into His Word. Read His Word. I know you're thinking, oh, well, what about what Peter said? Okay. There is 2.5 verses where it seems like Peter is honoring Paul. Okay? But if you read the last word before those 2 verses, which is salvation, and then jump 2.5 verses and read the next verse that comes up, surprise, it makes a lot of sense, because the 2.5 verses that are written in there make 0 sense at all. It does. If you read it, it makes 0 sense. But then take those 2.5 verses out and read what comes next. And it makes perfect sense. I mean, just perfect. And it does. That's all I can say. Now, if you read Genesis all the way through in the Old Testament, every single name is part of a story. But when you get to the New Testament, there's only a few words that mean anything. The rest of it's garbage. And it's because of what the bishops that the Catholics chose to put in to my father's word and what they chose to take out. And that's why it is like it is today. Now, I know a bunch of you Christian people, you do not listen to what the Catholics have to say. The Catholics, they go against the Ten Commandments all the way around. And this is why they go against it, because they're the ones that wrote what they wrote in the Bible, that had the certain chapters put in and certain chapters taken out. You should know that. You know, that's where it came from, Catholicism. And then Martin Luther, he noticed a bunch of garbage within that situation. So he left. And blah, blah, blah. And now we're like close to 60,000 different types of beliefs within one belief. And that's all it was. The way of my father. I didn't come to abolish the law. That means to destroy it. I came to fulfill it. To fill it full. There were 2 laws that he gave. There were 10 in it. What does 12 mean to him? Think about it. Think about it. Anyways, I want you to know that I love you. I love you right there. Love yourself. Love my Father God. And by all means, love each other, people. Until the next time, love, peace, and soul.